Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Sukaja and I'm happy to say that recently I went on a book shopping spree. That's right. So I went to Gate Road, which is in Bangalore, which has, a lot of bookshops on Church Street. So I've done a little vlog about book shopping in Church Street. I'm going to insert the footage here shortly so that you guys can, hop along on book shopping with me. I have bought quite a few books in that haul and I went with a friend. It was quite a bit of fun. I did exchange a few old books that I was unhauling and I used a lot of store credit, which is always fun. To buy these books. So I bought about maybe 7 books, which I'm going to show to you at the last bit of this video. So grab a cup of tea, stay till the end if you want to know which books I ended up buying on my recent visit to Church Street. I went to 2 bookshops, Book Hive and Bookworm. Book Hive has recently become one of my favorite bookshops, especially since they have a lot of unique titles, they have a lot of diverse authors, and they're very inclusive as a bookshop in terms of the selection of books that they have. I was happy because I found quite a few books on my wish list this time. But yeah, stay tuned the second part of this video to know which books I bought. Here I'm going to be inserting some vlog footage now, so sit back and happy viewing. I hope you enjoyed that little snippet. If you would like me to make more vlog videos, please leave a comment down below. And now for the most exciting part of this video, the books that I ended up buying at the 2 bookshops that I visited on the weekend. First up, the first book is Carrie by Stephen King. So I have been wanting to read Cain for a really long time, and I went over a lot of vlogs that suggested that I start with Carrie is Stephen King's debut novel and it is highly acclaimed. A lot of people have this novel as their favorite, and I personally was quite enamored by the first line and just generally by the blurb of this book. This is about a person named Carrie who is able to perform telekinesis. By the cover, you know this is horror, you know this is not a fun, relaxing read. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with the main character in this book, Carrie White. It starts off at the scene of a prom night. She ends up having to be forced to utilize this gift of telekinesis. I also have another book by Stephen King which I'll be talking about once I've read both Stephen King's. I'm hoping to do this in October because it is the best month to be reading any spooky books, and it's not a very long book. A lot of his books are pretty thick, so I wanted to start off with something that's more digestible. This won't hopefully give me nightmares because I don't see anything about stuff that I'm really scared about, so I'm hoping to just breeze past this one. So the second book that I bought is Indelicacy by Amina Cain. The New York Times says a room of one's own with a few wicked twists. Really don't know what to make of that because I have read A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. It is a book that is very unusual. It's literary fiction and it talks about women writers and their ability to write in a very versatile way, and how we don't also have women writers represented often and men are stealing the roles of women writers. Back when she did write the essay, it's not really, or a novella, what you call it. I don't know what to expect with Indelicacy, which is fiction and is a short novel as well. It says that this book is about a woman. She works at a museum of art and she aspires to do more than just simply dusting paintings, which is what she's doing all day long. She escapes her lot by marrying a rich man, but having gained a husband, a house, high society and a maid, finds that a new life of privilege is no less constrained. Not only has she taken up different forms of time-consuming labor, but she is now, however, passively forcing other women to clean up after her. Perhaps a more drastic solution is necessary. It says that this book is a lot like Victorian classics. It's a bit of a ghost story without a ghost, and that's really intriguing. I also found the cover really intriguing, so this has been on my wish list and I ended up finding it, I think in, I don't know which of the bookshops I found it in. Sorry guys. I will report back on this book once I've read it. Now, the next book I remember clearly I bought at Bookworm. So this is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I have been watching a lot of YouTube videos by Emmy, and her best friend has been recommending this book a lot. So after watching one of her vlogs, I decided it's time for me to get into the world of Kazuo Ishiguro. Apart from the one novel that I've read of his, which is Remains of the Day. I kind of didn't really enjoy it because it did remind me a lot of Downton Abbey, and since I'd just been watching the series when I read it, I couldn't really appreciate the book for what it was, but I did, just read it. But I know and I've heard that a lot of Ishiguro's books are going to be very different from each other. He doesn't have one way of writing. It's always going to be something special and different. And this book is largely dark academia, and I'm someone who absolutely enjoyed reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt. If you've been following me for a while, you know that's one of my favorite books. From the blurb, I gather that this novel is set in contemporary England, and it's about a group of students, just like in The Secret History, growing up in a darkly skewed version of contemporary England. So you said dark, you said group of students set in England. I'm so in. This is narrated by a 31-year-old writer named Kathy, who dramatizes her attempts to come to terms with her childhood at the seemingly idyllic Halsham school, and with a fate that has always awaited her and her closest friends in the wider world. A story of love, friendship and memories. So I'm sold. I also like this new edition by Faber. I think Faber is releasing a lot of these new editions. Since Kazuo Ishiguro won the Nobel Prize recently, I am keen to get into his works. The next book that I picked up is a very unusual one. I found this in Bookworm. There is a bookshop known for its translated Japanese and Korean fiction. This is called Diary of a Void, and it's by a Japanese writer named Yagi, whom I've never heard about. And it's translated by David Boyd and Lucy North. It's because of the premise that I decided to pick this up, and also it's a lovely cover, lovely French flaps. Mrs. Shibata is the main person in this novel. She's the only woman in her office, and she's always being asked to do like menial tasks, which she feels is not something they should be asking of her. So one day she announces to her friends and colleagues that she is in fact pregnant, and she kind of expects that because she's pregnant, she won't have to do these tasks again. And then 9 months pass and she's got to weave a story out of this, right? She's got to stick to the facts, keep up with whatever she's been narrating to everybody about her story. So she gets to escape having to serve coffee to everyone on a daily basis and isn't forced to work overtime on the pretext of being pregnant. Once the 9 months pass, it's going to be tough for her to keep up the ruse. So it sounds like something comedic, something lighthearted, and something that kind of opens up some questions about work, life. So I'm very excited to read this book as well. Now, coming to the next book, I was happy to find Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These that I've been seeing to the rounds almost everywhere on YouTube. It's about an uprising that takes place in an Irish town. Now, I don't know too much about Irish history, so I'm really intrigued to see. It was written in 1985 and it's also set during the weeks leading up to Christmas, so I think it'll be a good read for me maybe next month, so to Christmas. I also know from the blurb that this is about a man named Bill Furlong who works as a coal and timber merchant, and he is facing a really busy season. So this really doesn't give much away about what to expect, but it's a really thin novel. I'm going into this knowing nothing, knowing very little, so I'm hoping to report back in a positive way. Now, the next book here is Anne Tyler, The Amateur Marriage, which again I saw the book magnet rave about on her Instagram account. Ever since I've been wanting to read this. It's a second-hand book, but it doesn't look like. So I was really happy to find this. This is about two people, Pauline and Michael, who seemed almost perfect for each other. And they're young, they're good looking, you can almost say that they're made for each other. It's about these two people who kind of get married in a fervor during World War II, right? And I love historical fiction, especially stories set during the war. So this book is totally up my street. The story continues on until the 60s. It does cover a lot of time, a lot of ground. We watch the lives of these two characters in school and the consequence of their very mismatched marriage. So I'm curious to know what happens that their marriage turns out to be a mismatched affair. I will report back on this book as well. I do have another book by Anne Tyler and I will pick that up if this works out well. So finally, the last book that I picked is by far the most beautiful cover ever, and this is something I've wanted for a while. The Picture of Dorian Gray, and now this is a book I've been wanting to read but wasn't sure about whether I would enjoy or not. For the longest time, I always wanted to own some cloth-bound editions. Now this is my second Penguin cloth-bound edition and it is absolutely beautiful. I got this at a 20% discount at Bookworm. If you want to get cloth-bound editions, you should head to Bookworm. This is about Dorian Gray, who is very narcissistic. He looks at he wants to capture his beauty. He believes that he has beauty and he wants to preserve that, you know. He wants to preserve his good looks. So he gets himself painted. A portrait of him is being painted and made and then hung on the wall in his house. And what's the best part about this is that the painting will register all the blemishes that happen onto his good looks. They don't appear on his face or on his skin or his body. Instead, the painting itself starts to mutilate with passing of time and with the bad deeds that are committed by Dorian Gray. The painting kind of becomes the bearer of all of those blemishes. That's what this book is about. A very interesting book, a lot of conversation about art, aesthetics and whatnot. But I also know that this is set during the times of Victorian era, so I'm super excited about that. So those are all the books that I bought when I went to Bookworm and Book Hive. Let me know if you've read any of these. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You could also choose to hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I post a new video. And yeah, happy reading. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane. Bye.